I used to be a terrible procrastinator across my 4 years of high school. I had straight C's, several D's, a bunch of F's. I've taken several summer school classes and the dreaded night school, and I even had to do boatloads of assignments for a few points just to pass. I know what it's like to be at the very bottom of the academic spectrum. I've been there. I felt it. I suffered through it. And naturally, after being in that pit for so long, I made a resolve to never fall back in there ever again. How exactly did I become a procrastinator back then? Well, to be direct, I simply had no interest in studying. Back in high school, I was very immature. My mind wasn't developed, I wasn't sophisticated or matured at that level. The only thing I thought of was studying, not so much playing games, sure why not, and doing a couple of not so productive recreational activities like binging TV shows or anime shows. Now that being said, those 4 years were not the best reflection of my academic experience. But naturally, I'm not going to be too hard on myself, because while I have endured and been through the hardships of the bottom of the academic pit, I have learned so much, especially how to reflect myself and apply myself at the highest level. You may have heard from the movie series or the book series Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Do you apply yourself? And I'm happy to say that I do apply myself now. My grades were very low, like I said, straight C's or D's, but after graduating university a few years ago, my grade point average was 3.7 GPA and above. It feels good, it feels wonderful. And that's just the benefit of community college. It resets your grades from high school, new beginning. Now, if I had to offer one simple piece of advice for anyone out there who is currently dealing with procrastination habits, regardless if you are a student, adult, or a working individual, you have to accept the fact you need to stop being a procrastinator. You need to stop being lazy, and you have to know you need to get things done. That you need to get started. If you know you have something due, whether it's work related or personal, that is beneficial to yourself and for the long term, why don't you just get started? Why don't you just take action? Do something towards it in order to bring you a little bit closer towards your goals. But naturally, on the other side of the wall here, the most difficult part of breaking out from being a procrastinator is getting started. A lot of people often push it aside later or keep saying they'll do it later. For example, you get home from a college class around 4 p.m. You feel tired, you're hungry, you keep saying to yourself, you're going to do your work later. You immerse in movies, you play a lot of games, it's late in the night, you are sleepy, and you decide you'll just do all of this work tomorrow. And then you end up saying the exact same thing to yourself continuously to the point where the day where the assignments are due are already here, you haven't really done anything. Or even worse, there's a quiz or a test, you're not prepared, you bomb it, and your grade takes a catastrophic hit. I've been there, I felt it, it's not something I ever want to experience ever again. And sure, while the most difficult part is getting started, what matters is you actually do something. Because I can assure you, it does get easier over time. I've met some people in the past who ask me, how are you able to read books more than 10 minutes and not get distracted? Well, I will tell you, getting into the hobby of reading books was something I wasn't exposed to as a child. I actually got into reading books just a year and a half ago because I made the resolve I wanted to learn and improve myself after graduating. Sure, it was difficult. I remember I had to spend about an hour reading a whole chapter, and I mean rereading it. Rereading a chapter and back reading. I did a lot of back reading. I'm happy I do that kind of habit anymore. I've been there. It was difficult at first, but I didn't give up. I continued to apply myself and dive into it to learn the process and figure out what works for me. And now luckily, I don't do back reading. I don't spend more than 20-30 minutes reading a chapter, even if it's a book that consists of 200 or 300 pages. Because I took the initiative. I spent time to practice. I learned, I improved, and I make time for reading. It's not so bad or difficult to exercise for 30 minutes a day. It's really not as hard as you think. It's just a matter of knowing you need to stay fit. Exercise. Just do it. So at the end of the day, at the end of the week, just be direct with yourself and ask yourself, if you do procrastinate, if you have a few habits related to procrastination, why are you nervous of getting started? Ask yourself. Get straight to the cold hard facts. If you don't ask yourself these uncomfortable direct questions, how will you really be able to face the truth and the reality that is just waiting for you in order to bring you closer to that idea, that concept of your own picture of success?